Welcome to yet another interesting episode. Tonight, I want to discuss a very important topic: homosexuality, religious morality, and the law. The law as influenced by the state. I want to take you through the subject of homosexuality and how morality and the law determines what is good sex and what is bad sex. Homosexuality is defined by the law as a crime. The law in many countries today will define homosexuality as any act against the order of nature. The question will be, what is the order of nature? And homosexuality will be defined from a point where the law says any person, whether male or female, who has carnal knowledge against the order of nature, underline the order of nature, and commits gross indecency, that person commits a crime. Call it an offense. And homosexuality is brought in the picture. My name is Kato Mukasa, a Ugandan lawyer, human rights advocate, humanist, and a person that has been working on cases that involve homosexuals in Uganda and the rest of Africa in the last 15 years. I know, as an advocate for fairness, I know, as an advocate for equity, that many perceived homosexuals and many homosexuals rot in jails in many parts of the world. Many have been killed in cold blood because the law conspired with morality, religiously influenced morality, to cause havoc on our brothers and sisters in the world. The law does not give rights to homosexuals. The law is discriminative. When the law talks about the order of nature, the law in Uganda, Malawi, Kenya, Tanzania, and all these countries that criminalizes homosexuality using their bogus penal code, the law defines order of nature as only that part on human body which is used for procreation. The law, because it's religiously influenced law, does not look at sex for any other purpose. Sex is seen as to be used for procreation. And by procreation, I mean to have children. To the authors of this law, they do not think that sex is for pleasure, that sex is for fun, that sex is for entertainment, that sex is for relaxation, that sex is for love, to cement love and partnership. That some of us want sex not because we want children, that some people simply want sex because sex is good. Now, when religious people make laws, such laws cannot be good for anyone. When laws are made using religious lenses, such laws cannot be good for secular people, because sex is not only for procreation. But when we go with this definition of sex, sex that is defined from a morality angle, we say that in fact in all these laws and cases decided, oral sex is abnormal sex. Oral sex is an offensive sex. So when you have oral sex with your wife and your man, in fact that is homosexuality, because sex is meant for procreation purposes only. We have seen in cases such as Republic versus Steve Monjeza and Hiwanga Chibaranga of Malawi in 2009, that the court still decided that sex must be for procreation. Therefore, order of nature is defined from that angle. In the case of Victor Juliet Mukasa and another against the Attorney General in Uganda, 2006, the same principles are adopted. In the case of Rohana Vasator Devhandi versus State in 1968, and in the case of Calvin Francis versus Olisa, 1992, court held myopically that oral sex is an offense. Therefore, the mouth is not meant for sex. The mouth is meant for only food. Now, if you have sex, oral sex with your wife, and you're a man like me, according to this case and judgment, that sex is immoral, and therefore you are homosexual. Therefore, there is carnal intercourse when you use your mouth. Now, sex from this kind of thinking of biased and stupid laws and cases throughout the world, sex is meant for conception only. Sex is defined from strictly a purely Judeo-Christian line. The Muslims, the Christians define sex and morality and ethical standards for all of us who don't believe in these books of fairy tales. For us who don't believe in the Bible, in the Quran, and in these religious facades, we are supposed to be defined by these books. Anal sex is therefore seen as perversity. Anal sex is therefore seen as against the order of nature, because the state defines for us how to have sex, who to have sex with, when to have sex, and why to have sex. Ladies and gentlemen, sex must not be defined by the state. Sex must not be defined by the religious people. Sex must not be defined from morality, which is defined by ignorant men and women having power. Sex must be defined by the individuals having this sex. Homosexuals have rights throughout the world, but when you use the laws to kill homosexuals and witch hunt them, you take their right to privacy, you take their right to dignity and against inhuman treatment, you take their right to health and education by using sex as a card for terrorism. Just like they have used the race against people, they have used sex against minorities. When people are arrested by the police does extortion and harassment and forced sex and rape, and payment of money is given to the police to release victims of homophobia. The law promotes homophobia, and the media promotes homophobia. In Uganda, in 2010, the Rolling Stone published pictures of 100 homosexuals, and everyone calls them the bum shafters, the illegal criminal people. Ladies and gentlemen, homosexuality is criminalized in Algeria, Djibouti, Kuwait, Lebanon, Libya, Morocco, Oman, Qatar, Syria, Tunisia, UAE, Comoros, Egypt, Jordan, Somalia, and in these countries someone is killed for being homosexual. We're talking about homosexuality versus religious morality versus the state and the law. We are talking about countries where it's criminal to love differently. Yet we all know we have had great Africans who have been homosexual, great black people who have been homosexuals, great scientists of all races who have been homosexuals. Why do we need to criminalize homosexuality? Why do we need to have laws that make some people righteous and others criminals simply because they love differently? Why don't we follow the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which guarantees equal treatment, non-discrimination, and right to life? Because to love is to live in love, and to love is to be fair to each other, because homosexuality should not be a crime.